Alright, I thought I would just make a quick little video. I have a few versions. Obviously, I have my King James Bibles. I also have here the Message. I might do a review on that. This one I just got. It's the NRSV Updated Edition Gift Bible. So I'll have a look at that one. It's about 30 bucks. But I want to take a look at this one here. This is the Contemporary English version. So if you've never read it or anything, this one is a little bit different. I like the idea behind it, the principles. You know, there are over 2,000 verses in the Bible. Wake us up to the issues of poverty and justice, and now there's no missing them. So basically the idea behind this is that they would highlight any of the verses related to poverty. So they use the orange marker, and these are obviously permanent. It's not me doing it. It's already in the book, in the Bible. So they have this throughout. It's like 2,000 verses or whatever that talk about poverty. So it's an interesting study, obviously. I like the concept. I like the idea behind it. But if we go back to here, they talk about, you know, a little bit of the reviews of this. This is called the Poverty and Justice Bible Contemporary English Version. So, and they have a whole website and all that. It's printed in Canada. So let's just go over here. Obviously, it's the same kind of the same idea. Is they get their idea from obviously the King James Bible, but here they go in a little bit of a different direction. They approach it from the point of view that there are thousands of people that don't have the Bible in their language, in English, I guess. Because if you see here, it says there are still a large number of people speaking at least 2,000 languages who do not have access to the scriptures in a language that touches the heart. So the idea is to make a translation that is comfortable and easy to listen to be read out loud, all this kind of stuff. Very similar to what the King James Bible was. So they got their, let's see here, do they have copyright? They don't really talk about copyright, just basically ask for permission if you want to use excerpts from the CEV. And what else do we have here? I think that's pretty much it. Let's see here. So they basically talk about how to read the Bible, called the Bible. So the Bible is a collection of 66 separate books written by many authors and several quite different lifestyles. The CEV translators have tried very hard to make the original meaning clear, but it can still be difficult to understand how any single passage is supposed to make a difference here and now. We need to know when, why, and how the Bible was put together before we can apply it in our lives today. The books of the Bible were written over a long period. There were much cultures in which the writers lived changed, as did the way God dealt with his people. God began by speaking through individual prophets, but Jesus promised that we could all have our own relationship with him. So while some things are still clear today, others have to be understood in their own cultural and historical context before we could benefit from them. So then they talk about the different types. And you got the story, the prophecy, the poetry, the letters, the law, the wisdom. And what else do we have here? This is a little bit about the Contemporary English Version. So the Contemporary English Version is distinctive among Bible translations because it takes seriously the words of the Apostle Paul, faith comes by hearing. Traditional translations of the Bible count on the reader's ability to decipher written text. the King James Bible was also designed to be read out loud. So that's important to note. But here we see CEV differs by considering the needs of both the reader and the hearer, who may not be familiar with traditional biblical jargon. So obviously probably referring to something like the history of Israel. Like, if you don't know anything about Israel, it's going to look like biblical jargon. So it's interesting that they say that they may not be familiar with the traditional biblical jargon. The CEV is an audio translation in print form, crafted to be read aloud without stumbling, heard without misunderstanding, and listened to with appreciation. Like all serious translations of the Bible, the CEV is considered primarily with faithfulness to the meaning of the biblical text. In order to ensure the accuracy of the CEV, the Old Testament was translated directly from the Hebrew and Aramaic texts published in United Bible Societies via the Biblia Hebraica Stutgartensia 4th edition. So that when they say the Old Testament was translated directly from the Hebrew and Aramaic text published by, like, they're not talking about the directly from the Hebrew and Aramaic texts. They're not talking about that. They're talking about the Hebrew and Aramaic texts published by the United Bible Society. So referring to this book, and then the New Testament was translated directly from the Greek text published by this book over a period of 10 years. So these are the two books that they're using to help them translate the book. So basically they have the King James Bible. They kept the format, kept the tradition, but then used these two sources as their main means of helping them with the translation. So they're not going into the Masoretic texts or anything like that, anything outside of that. This is their main source of helping them translate. Which makes it in some ways easier to do, because when you think about it, you just read the book of Genesis from the King James Bible, 1611 authorized version, and then you use these two resources and you just tweak some words here and there. Words that you don't like, words that you feel like aren't modern or whatever it is. So basically the King James did all the heavy lifting, and then now they're tweaking it, really, at the end of the day. And when you tweak the words, enough of the words, you make it your own at the end of the day. Let's see here. So they keep saying that they've done their homework, but I wanted to see. Went through a series of thorough reviews. See, the CEV is reliable because the translation team has done its homework. A clear example is found in Jeremiah 23, 24. Meaning of these two verses is not some local deity. And they go on to talk about the difference between the traditional and then the CEV version. So the traditional would say, I only a God nearby, declares the Lord, and not a God far away, ? Can anyone hide in secret places so that I cannot see him? ? Declares the Lord. Do not I fill heaven and earth? Declares the Lord. So what the translators did for the CEV is they just said, the Lord said, I am everywhere, both near and far, in heaven and on earth. There is no secret places where you can hide from me. So I understand what they're doing, but it's a little bit different than this, because this is more poetic. And whenever you ask a person a question, this is very similar to how Jesus spoke to the disciples, to the people around him. If they would say, Lord, what's going to happen to this person, or why are your disciples doing this or that? Jesus would always respond to them with a question. And you could see here that God is doing that very same thing. He's ending each sentence with a question. We lose that in the CEV. The Lord said, I am everywhere, both near and far, in heaven and on earth, and there are no secret places where he can hide from me. Meaning, we're trying to hide from God. That's one interpretation. Here, it's basically God is asking the question, am I only a God that's nearby and not a God far away? Can anyone hide in secret places so that I cannot see him? So do I not feel heaven and earth? Again, yes, I get it. Here, it clearly God is saying, clearly God is saying that he's everywhere. But the way it's written is quite poetic. I like that better than this version. But I understand what they're doing. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it their own, really. And the idea is they're trying to make it easier for people to understand. So here we have, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, plural. And they put, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So almost word for word with the King James. The earth was barren, with no forms of life. It was under a roaring ocean, covered with darkness. But the Spirit of God was moving over the water, singular, not waters. Because in King James Version, it says that God actually separated the waters from the waters above, from the waters below. Two sets of waters, which is interesting. Waters below the earth, waters above the earth. And a firmament was in between. You don't get that sense here. Nitpicky, but I get it. Like, if you change enough of the King James Bible, you're going to make it your own version. You just are. So they're doing this, obviously, to make money, obviously, at the end of the day, off of the back of the King James. Now, you can pose an argument, is that so bad or whatever it is? It is if there are things missing that they take out. That's when it gets kind of silly, right? But again, I understand what they're trying to do. So let's just go traditional. The voice of the Lord is over the waters, plural. The God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic. They put, the voice of the Lord echoes over the oceans. The glorious Lord God thunders above the roar of the raging sea, and his voice is mighty and marvelous. So it's just different. It's different. You know, if that's what it says, that's one thing, but it feels like they're taking liberty to just tweak things. Like, I understand that the voice of the Lord is over the waters. I get it. And then here they're like, the voice of the Lord echoes over the oceans. So they're adding to it, which is, again, I don't know. You got kahunas to start changing things, I guess. I don't know. But over here, in this CEV, every attempt has been made to avoid a series of unaccented syllables as well as potential tongue twisters and jingly expressions. For example, your teeth will be too few to do their work, and you will be blind too. Ecclesiastes 12 is difficult to read aloud. In the CEV, this verse is translated, your teeth will decay and your eyesight fail. So let's just have a look at the King James Version of Ecclesiastes 12:3. So let's just go over and have a look. Maybe this is nitpicky, but let's just have 12. Ecclesiastes. Hard to film and flip through pages at the same time. There we go, 12:3. Okay. Remember your Creator. So we're going to go to verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because there are few, and those that look out of the windows will be darkened. Okay, where did I miss something with the teeth? Where's the teeth here? Let me just look at this again. Where is it here? 12:3. Now your teeth will be too few to do their work. Ecclesiastes 12:3. 12:3. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. This is talking when men are young. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So I don't see anything talking about teeth here. So that's what I mean. You would never know that reading verse 3. You'd never come to that conclusion that there are decaying teeth. It's just it's creative liberties. But here I kind of like the way it's presented in the King James. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, old people, and the strong men shall bow themselves. So as they get older, they start hunching because they've worked hard all their lives. And the grinders cease. So you can always hear people working in shops and all this stuff. And then as people pass away, the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. So basically old people looking out, just staring out the window. And if you continue on in verse 4, the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, because you start losing your hearing as you get older. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. I can say that for myself. I get up at 5 o'clock every morning. Never used to be like that when I was young. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So basically, young women, kids singing in the streets. As you get older, it gets less and less. You start hearing those sounds less and less. You become afraid of heights, afraid of walking down streets in case you get injure yourself, twist an ankle, whatever it is. I don't know. It's just a beautiful way that King Solomon wrote this. And I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to change it so that you don't really understand what's going on. So let's just go real quick and I'll wrap this up. But let's just go to Ecclesiastes here. Again, it's laid out very nice. I like how it's laid out. It's beautiful, right? But you don't want to lose the essence of what's going on. So let's just, verse 12. Remember, I just read it. Keep your Creator in mind while you are young. In years to come, you'll be burdened down with troubles and say, I don't enjoy life anymore. Someday, the light of the sun and the moon and the stars will all seem dim to you. Rain clouds will remain over your head. Your body will grow feeble, your teeth will decay, and your eyesight fail. The noisy grinding of grain will be shut out by your deaf ears. But even the song of a bird will keep you awake. You'll be afraid to climb up a hill or walk down a road. So you don't see the music of the young women. You miss that. You'd never know it was here because you're in this version. And that's what I'm talking about. You take creative liberties, you add your teeth will decay. That's not in the King James Version. So it's just creative liberties. And this is my fear, is as you read through this entire book, is there could be things taken out as well as things put in, and you'd never know it if you're only reading this version. This is why I like sticking with the King James Bible, because of the way it's written, how it flows, all this kind of stuff. So anyways, just my personal opinion on why I like reading the King James Bible. If you got something out of this, if you're interested in this version, this is again the Poverty and Justice Bible, Contemporary Version, English Version, CEV. If you like this kind of thing, let me know, and maybe I'll make one on this one here, this bad boy next, the NRSV UE Gift Bible. So, anyways, camera keeps going on, folks. There we go. Thanks for watching, and if you got something out of this, feel free to leave a comment. Really appreciate it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.